We do another beer club here at the Hop Shop to kind of introduce you to my friend. Somebody who I didn't know 10 months ago. She came to our brewery at Flagship and asked us to start contracting some beers for her. It's a new brewery that was hitting the market back in August of this year. And it's been quite amazing. She's a pretty rad person, and it was a great story. And she's very inspiring to me, why I started drinking craft beer. Where to me, craft beer was all about the story, and she embodies that. And her beers are pretty great too. And so without I'll shut up. And then afterwards, I have some new Flagship beers that I'm pretty proud of that I'll share with you guys. But before all that, I'd like to introduce to you Zara from Back Home Beer. Please give her your undivided attention.
Thanks, Doug. Can you guys hear me okay? All right. Thank you for coming. So I met Doug about in September of last year. I was on the hunt for a contract facility where I could brew my beer, and a lot of people told me no, and then they didn't have space, so I was really excited when I finally got a chance to brew the beer at Flagship. It all kind of started, so both of my parents are Iranian, and they immigrated here from Iran pre-revolution. And my grandfather, he was a brewer in Iran. And so when he lived there, there were breweries, there were distilleries.
Probably a dicey job.
Yeah, well, no, then it wasn't.
Well, not a job, but a dicey hobby.
But then it wasn't. That's the thing, is when they lived there and when my parents lived there were breweries, there were distilleries, there were vineyards throughout the country. It was just, it was nothing like how it is today. And so for me, it was really important to kind of highlight that fact, which is that in the Middle East, it's actually the birthplace of beer. It goes back thousands of years. The earliest evidence of barley beer brewing, which most people don't believe me, but if you Google it, it does come up, traces back to what is now modern day Iran. And so it has a very rich history of brewing there, but yet because of what the region has become in the last 40 years, that's kind of, the narrative now is that it's outlawed and there is no alcohol, which is true now, but before 1980, that was not the case. And so for me, it was important to kind of bring back that history, and that's why I called it Back Home, is because when my parents and grandparents talk about Iran and the country and what it was, it's very different from what it is now and what people know of it now. And so a lot of my recipes are based on, they're heavily influenced or inspired by flavors of the Middle East. So I use a lot of different spices or fruits, herbs, different flavor profiles to kind of highlight that. And the Persian lager, actually, that's the first beer that I brewed at home. Wow. And that one is very similar to the lager that my grandfather had brewed. And I based a lot of that on flavor memory. So I was brewing at home. I went through 5 different iterations. I would mail the bottles or take them down to my grandma's house, and she would try them, and my aunts would try them, and they kind of remembered how it would taste, and that determined how I would tweak the recipe. And so, yeah.
The first time your grandmother tasted it, what was she like?
She thought it was great. I mean, she just couldn't believe it. It was very much it brought back a lot of memories for them. It was very nostalgic for her. My grandfather passed when I was very young, and so it was kind of like if I didn't try to take on this hobby, then it probably would have died, the whole legacy of that. And so for me, it was really, it started off as a hobby. So I was homebrewing for a few years before I brought it to market, and that's when I was doing the lager and just sharing it with my family and friends. And I went through a lot of really, I tried a dried black pine wheat beer that they absolutely hated. They were like, this is awful. But then when I did the lager, they really loved that one, and they were trying to give me some feedback, and that's kind of how I would change up the recipe and how I landed on what is now Persian Blue, the lager that we have now. And so it's called, that one is called Persian Blue because, and actually I brought some salt for Doug because we're going to be brewing this on Monday. but it's called Persian blue because I use a blue salt that comes from northern Iran. Now, because of the sanctions that are in place, I technically should not be using this salt, but I get it through. Yeah, just don't post this anywhere. And so it's this beautiful blue salt. The minerality is a bit different. It's milder. It's sweeter. It's mined in northern Iran where my grandfather was a brewer. And so this one is like very much an homage to him. It's just adding a little something extra to the beer that I think makes it really special. And that's why it's called Persian blue. It's because of this. And so the whole concept behind Back Home Beer is really just to continue the legacy, kind of make people aware of the history of brewing in the region, and to put out some beers that have a lot of influence from the Middle East. And you'll see, it's on draft, but you'll see a lot of the can design has the Persian language on there, and they were designed by a young woman who lives in Iran, so really trying to stay true to kind of all of that. So do you guys want to try, is that how it goes? I don't know how this goes.
Yeah.
So now you try the first, or if you have any questions or anything like that. Yeah, so you guys ready to try? Oh yeah.
Can I look at the blue salt?
Yeah, sure.
Don't lick it.
I wasn't. This is really cool.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And I did a lot of people in the Middle East do put a pinch of salt in their beer before they drink it. I did a lot of kind of blind taste tests and R&D with different salts.
Does that bring out the flavor? Does that like bring out the flavor or?
Yeah, that's what my dad says that. He's like, it makes it more crisp and brings out the flavor.
I know, put a little bit of salt on meat.
Exactly. Yeah, it does. Yeah.
What is the sodium level? How is that?
So this is actually lower than like a sea salt or table salt or anything like that. The minerality is the sylvanite that makes it blue, and the salt content is less, and it's milder and sweeter than kind of a sea salt or a table
I ate one of these and I'm like, I'm pretty full.
We make it work.
Oh, I gave you.
No, I'll just take it home. And I'll take the cheese home. What?
Just take another.
Just take this.
Take that off to the neck. This is very nice.
Thank you.
So what's the name of this beer? Like,
So the name of this one?
yeah.
So the name of this beer is Persian Blue.
Oh, this is the Persian blue.
Yeah. Because it's because of the salt that comes from it. 5 years old. 5 years old.
I'll get another one. Yeah. See this? This is my favorite.
Smells neat. Ooh, that's very nice.
Yeah, I just want to say, this lager, it's coming around. And the first time that we made it and we tried it, it blew everybody in the brewery away. It was such a great, crisp lager that everybody just wanted to rip it. And like, when we were canning it, it was like, oh man, just can off another case of that. It was such a pleasure to make and drink. So I hope you guys like it.
This is so smooth.
Yeah.
It's a fantastic.
I have a question. Do you, for your beers, do you use like grains that are like traditional grains from Iran?
No, so this one, so barley is one of the most exported.
Versatile?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
like it's very prominent and grown in Iran. So this is just Pilsner malt, a little bit of bright.
I was wondering if there was like a regional grain or something.
No, they use barley. Now they use spring barley, which I don't know if that's slightly different. I was trying to kind of
I've never had it.
see what the difference is, but they use barley. It was barley beer that they were brewing, and that's where the history goes back there. In different parts of Asia, it's more like rice,
Yeah.
but specifically in the Middle East, it was all barley.
So, is there, does anybody distribute beer on Staten Island, like Beverage Play or something?
Yeah, so I'm not distributing on Staten Island yet. I'm distributing in Brooklyn.
She's distributing her Puree.
Yeah, I'm distributing in a very small car with like very limited capacity, so I stay in Brooklyn and
So buy her beer because she needs new shocks.
Yes.
If you haven't sold
Puree
it
isn't gonna
all,
last much longer.
Yeah,
when it leaves flagship, I don't believe it's getting on the better side. It's a Prius that looks like this.
It's like maybe 6 inches off the ground. It's terrible. Yeah, so I need
Well, the electric works. The electric works.
I mean, my Hyundai Sonata is 20 years old.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So same situation.
It still runs.
Yeah, it still runs, but maybe probably not for much longer.
That something's got to last me for a bit longer.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Everybody has it? Everybody's good with it?
Yes, very good.
Alright, so the IPA, okay. So the next beer is called New Day IPA. That one was specific for the spring months, and it was a seasonal beer. The other two that I'm sharing tonight are more like our core flagship beers. This one is going to be an annual release for the Persian New Year, which falls on the first day of spring every year.
Oh.
And so we have a kind of a traditional table arrangement that we put out during the Persian New Year, and it has 7 items. 3 of those items are apple and sumac and wheat, and so those are 3 of the ingredients that I incorporated into this. It's more of like a symbolic beer. I can show the can too, because that's really important for this beer. It features our traditional sun woman, who is typically in like a head covering, and it also has the sun, which is represented by sumac, and health and beauty, which is apple. So it's kind of many layers to the can also. Now, the can was also designed by a young Persian woman who lives here in the States. And that one I think I'm going to do as an annual release every year. Same can, same recipe for the Persian New Year. So sumac is actually a berry, but it's not typically used that way. It's dried and used as a spice. And so that's how you see it here. It's the spice that's like this red color, and the flavor is like lemony and a bit acidic. Yeah, no, so there is. There are poisonous versions of sumac. Not what we use.
It might be in this beer.
No, a lot of people have that same question. Yeah. We're all going down together. No. So the sumac that's in this beer is just it's actually sourced from a farm in Turkey, Gaziantep, Turkey, and so that is totally fine to eat, and it's used to kind of spice like vegetables and rice and things like that. Yeah. But there are a lot of types of sumac you want to stay away from. Yeah, some people do have an allergy to sumac, but
That would be terrible to find out.
Kind of made it a bit ambiguous, like it could be hijab or it could be her hair, and I kind of like that she did that because our supplement is typically covered up. So yeah. It's like you can't,
That one was very good.
Thank you. Yeah, so that's yeah, that's the sumac. That would be the sumac probably that you're tasting. Yeah. And I feel like it's, you know, an East Coast meets West Coast idea.
So, you said apple, sumac,
And wheat.
And wheat.
Yeah.
So was it like rested on apples, or so it was rested on apples, and where did the sumac go?
The sumac went into the boil.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
You know, like when they all started talking about sumac, you know, it didn't even hit me when you said sumac, and then they said, oh yeah, be careful about sumac. I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah, no, there's definitely ones that you want to be very careful.
Yeah. I mean, like, I have like a whole book about poisonous plants that you have to avoid.
Yeah.
I mean, like, the one saying that's really common, that like, if you need, you can find it in your yard, is ginseng weed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, ginseng weed. The only problem is ginseng weed is incredibly poisonous, but if it doesn't kill you, it will give you hallucinations for about 3 weeks.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
that's really scary.
Yeah.
Let's stay away from that.
Don't.
Yeah,
Don't.
oh my god.
Don't.
Yeah.
Don't even consider trying it.
So, oh yeah, okay, so this one on the can, it says, habits which means may every day be a new day. May every day be a new day. Yes.
The art reminds me of.
So,
All right.
on the can, it says,
May every day be a new day. It's that way? Damn it. I kind of just went back and forth. It's back. It's right to left. Oh, that's so nice. Oh, where can we find it in Brooklyn?
so it's all over. I would say like the closest spot to Staten Island would be maybe Sunset Park. Do you know Industry City?
Yes.
In Sahadi. It's a grocery store, like a Middle Eastern grocery store, bar. Yeah, they sell it there.
Sahadi, Industry City.
Yeah, that's it.
And Google actually got the word right for once.
Yeah, that's pretty good. What's that?
The blue Persian.
Yes. So they actually have all three of the beers there. Yeah. So they pair it there, and then a lot of beer shops sell it in single cans, but they sell it by the 4-pack, which I think is much better. Yeah.
If you ever want to bring it to Staten Island,
Yeah.
there's like Beverage Island. They're like one of the bigger distributors. They're right here on Bay Street, and then they have another one called Champs on Highland.
Okay.
So,
Oh, nice. Okay.
so if you ever want, we know the owner used to work there, so if you want to try to get in there, you know, we'd be happy to like talk to Carter.
Right. Yeah.
If you get in this Beverage Island, you want to make sure you are in the beer fridge.
Okay.
You want to be in the beer fridge because that's where all the attention is.
Right. Okay. All right. That's good to know. Very good to know. Yeah. What does that say? So that says habits of translates into everyday use. Traditional saying that you say.
All right. Does anybody have any more questions about the IPA?
It's delicious.
Before we move on, well, Niall.
How do you infuse the sumac?
The sumac goes into the boil for that. Yeah, because it's just that one the next one that we have is sumac goza. That one I use a lot more sumac. This one in a different sumac too. Yeah. For this one it was just a straight sumac spice that we put right into the oil. Yeah.
So, I'm trying to convince Zara that Staten Island isn't that bad.
No.
We all know that it kind of sucks. Some parts. It definitely sucks. But everybody in this room knows there's some kick-ass things about Staten Island. And you know, everybody's here right now. So I'm trying to introduce her to all the good things about Staten Island. And so hopefully...
Flagship.
So, thank you. Yeah. She's been to York, she was at our anniversary party. So if you go out to bars, ask for her beer, because it'll be her delivering it. So make her come back to Staten Island more, not just here.
Yeah.
So the next beer is coming out.
Okay. Okay, so the next beer is the sumac goza. And so that one was actually the first beer that we brewed, I believe, yeah. And so that one incorporates a cured sumac, and the cured sumac is basically the berries were packed in salt to dry, and so almost all of the salinity in that beer comes straight from the sumac. We don't add a lot of extra salt that would normally go into a goza. It's like fractions of what we would normally add because the sumac is already very salty. And then on top of that, it sits on a ton of sour cherries, like a lot of sour, 440 pounds for just like a, like a 15 of sour cherries. Yeah, even just for like a 15 barrel, it's a lot of sour cherries.
So the beer that I'll give you guys later is, it doesn't have cherries in it, but it's got a guava, and it's like half that.
Yeah.
It's like,
no, it's a lot of sour cherries. I use a lot, yeah. But it makes it a really beautiful red color. It's also sour cherries are something that we use. It's grown wild all over Iran, and they're also always eaten with salt. And so that's kind of where my grandfather brewed the sumac. So when I saw the cured sumac, I had the idea to do the goza with sour cherries. That's kind of a very popular flavor profile in the region, exactly. And so sour cherries, the cured sumac. We hopped with mosaic hops for that one as well. And I do love that beer. That's kind of one of my core beers too. I would say it's more tart and sour, and it's like 4 points.
as it should be.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like a properly done, I think, goza.
This was another one that came off the canning line that we wanted to steal a lot of cases of. So we did not.
Yeah. So this one is, no. We drank some though during the process.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this one is the cured sumac with sour cherries, a little bit of salt, and that's how we came up with this recipe.
Sorry.
I like the color.
Here, finish that one. I'm going to put the question anyway.
I think it's really, I love it. It's one of my favorite choices. It's the day that I realized, like, I really like this. Because I thought that.
Oh dear God.
And I didn't say it. It's one of my favorite programs. People still have a sense of humor. By the way, this is a can if anybody wants like a...
Yeah, so they're Persian Blue and the sumac goza are part of the poetry series. And so each can highlights a different Persian poet and verse. And so for this can, it's a Rumi quote. Rumi is like the biggest thing to come out of Iran. So, our family loves poetry. So this one says, if light is in your heart, you will find your way home. And for that, it kind of spoke to me because it's all about back home and bringing back the recipes. So that's why.
What is in your
It
heart?
was like a lot of, it was really
Light.
the
I believe she said, if light is in your heart.
And my dad texting me verses until we got to this quote.
Minutes back, let it go. Try and get that party.
This one has the.
So Mike,
Everybody's told me.
I had a feeling you weren't gonna like it. It's a sour beer, and I know you're not a sour beer person. For gozas, this one, I would say this one's rather a bit more balanced. For a goza, I find this one rather balanced. It's not very, it doesn't have like that, it's very well, you know, it's not overly sour or tart. I believe that's what she said.
And this one is like everything.
I found it very well done. So this, just to confirm, the poem on it is, if there's light in your heart, you'll find your way home.
Yes, exactly. And if you look on the back of the can here, it's here. It's just very small. But the translation for the quotes are always in the back of the can. Same with that. Yeah, it's on the back.
I always loved this building in Tehran.
Yeah, oh my god, how did you know? It's like a lot of people don't realize what it is.
I was an architect major in high school, so
okay.
and I had seen images of the building on like in the news and CNN.
Yeah.
So I was like, it's a really beautiful building, and it's a museum. I don't know what condition it is in currently.
Yeah, I mean, they keep it very, I mean, it's like the prize, structure in Iran.
I would hope so.
They definitely make sure it's well taken care of. And it translates into Freedom Tower. So that's why I used it for this.
It's really interesting because it has these like sweeping out legs,
Yeah.
and then when you walk under it, it's like a glass. It's like a glass. Technically, it would be a glass floor.
Right. That's what
But it's glass. When you look up, it's glass.
right.
Several years ago, they in Manhattan at the Jefferson, they had the art fair. The one area they had the artisan who did the embroidery
Yeah.
for the black covering when they go to the Hajj, and it has the scripture on it.
Right.
And they were the ones keeping it 24 karat gold to create the writing. And
Oh,
they
wow.
were there, and they were showing how they did it.
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
That's very cool. I did not realize that. Wow. Yeah, wow. That's amazing. Yeah, yeah. Okay, you're all done? Yeah. Thank you so much.
Great.
Anybody need it?
I would like to take this home. Francis made everybody a big steak dinner tonight, so I know it was proper to order. Yeah, I know it's proper to order like food while we're here.
So does anybody have any questions for Zara about her brands, her beers, what a goza is, how much salt she uses, what delivering beer to Prius is like in Brooklyn? 'Cause that's kind of a cool thing. I will tell you this, when she does come pick up beer from the brewery, she picks it up in her Prius, and she gets about 35 cases in the Prius, sometimes more, 50 cases. But sometimes that motherfucker's like a lowrider right now, it's dragging. So that's what I'm saying, like, buy her beer, because this motherfucker, she needs shops. That Prius is not happening for much longer. She hasn't been open a year yet, and just a darling on Instagram. If you haven't followed her, people are loving her shit, going nuts.
And the best person we've ever
She's wonderful. And like, she became somebody who was like, she contracted with us. I didn't know her, and now I don't. She's my friend. Like, I don't even. We're friends. And like, I love her, and she's fantastic, and she's a wonderful person, and like a great example of what craft beer should be, and has turned into. And it's not about all this crazy dumb shit. And she does cool guy stuff, and it succeeded. And she's wonderful, and like she's so definitely support her brand.
Yeah.
And if you're out and about, do it on Staten Island too, because make her drive here. Yeah, because you know, there's a lot of cool space spaces on Staten Island with that lager would kick.
Yeah.
And the Goza too, and you know, and all the new stuff that you're coming out. Are you bringing out anything new?
Yeah, we're working on an IPA for late summer.
Late summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Persian Blue will always be around. That's my favorite beer. And I feel like I want that all over New York City. Hopefully, at some point.
You know, it'd be really cool. You know, it'd be really cool in the future if you had beer steins out of glass that looked like that.
I looked into it. So he pointed out he knew that the logo for Back Home Year is actually the most prominent landmark in all of Iran. It's called Azadi Tower, which translates to Freedom Tower, and we made that into a beer mug. And so that's actually what the logo is, which most people don't realize unless you're Persian. So it was really cool that you knew that. Yeah. So that's what the beer mug is. Hopefully I can get that into an actual mug.
That'd be really cool.
Yeah, I think so too.
I'd buy that in a heartbeat.
It's a one-woman show right now. So I don't know, and I've got a kid, and he's, as you guys, I'm sure you all know, school's ending soon, so my time is very limited.
Told you, print on demand in Long Island. I have the guy. I have him.
I need to do that. Did you tell me that?
I did both.
All right, I gotta do something like that.
Go get it, go.
Not that I know
There's a
of.
link on your website.
Okay.
And he has the link content to him.
Yeah.
And somebody from Ohio wrote something, and XL, he printed on demand, sends it. They send you the product. Yeah.
Oh, all right. So merch coming soon.
We'll have this wrapped up by next week. Don't worry.
Got it. So I'm gonna look into that. But yeah, I'm definitely looking into it for sure. Yeah. And I also want to say thank you to the guys over at Flagship because it did take me. I did not know that I'm in Brooklyn, so I was looking in Brooklyn and Manhattan, and I heard a lot of people very confused about what I was trying to do, and being like, what is sumac, or they didn't get what I was trying to do. And I feel like a lot of people did not trust what I was saying and did not give me the time of day. But I did not expect to end up in Staten Island. But
Who would think Staten Island? We're done.
But they gave me a vessel to be able to get my beer out into the world, and I am forever grateful to you guys for doing that. For sure.
Collab?
Yeah, at some point.
So I'm on your Twitter.
Fantastic.
Is it
Again, just to reiterate that it's been wonderful. She's also very open about contract brewing, which I think is something that happens a lot in the industry that you may or may not know. Like a lot of breweries, when they start up, they can't always production brew, so they start contract. And
I'll keep in check.
one thing I will say about Zara, she's always been open about contracting and never trying to hide behind that this is I got this giant brewery, and I think that's commendable too. And I think that was the first time I realized that she was that's awesome. She's not trying to pretend that there's some production brewery. It's not about the look. It's about
someone
what she's producing, and she's producing. Everything was about the recipe. Everything is about the story. And again, not to say it again, that to me is what craft beer is about, the story. I mean, years ago, the first time I had a Dogfish Head, and I listened to Sam Calagione and his stupid Delaware accent, talk about his dumb spice beers and ride around in his little truck. It was awesome. It was the best. That was just something I never heard of before. This guy was just he was very passionate about what he was doing. And it's good to see that there's still people out there still being passionate about the product that they're making. And not just trying to jump on some fucking money spin. Oh, I can make money off of this. And this is not what this brewery's about. And it's been a joy. Because we have contracted for a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And nobody, I won't say anything tonight.
Wise.
I will say this, we did contract for Rockaway and they were phenomenal. Ethan at Rockaway, he's a gem. I love him.
Everybody else sucked except for
I'm not going to say who he's at.
Now, Grim was good.
Grim, we didn't cut. They were. I wasn't there for that.
You weren't there. I was there. Grim was very good.
What about R&H?
So anyway, we have these beers tonight. So we have a couple new sours in the brewery that I've been. A couple months ago, like we were talking about, like we need, we need to kind of step up our game, and we started. We need some sours.
Yeah.
That's what kids like, right?
I like them.
We got a hazy coming out in a couple weeks, so we're going to release that.
Oh yeah, the Alamos would be opening soon.
We have that one. We have two hazies. We have that one, and we have a little baby coming out again. And then, so we did 2 sours out. So what the way Zara does her goza is a process called the kettle sour. And in the past, we have put out sour, and it's been kettle sours. And the process is fine. It's just it's labor intensive to where it ties up the brew house. There's just a lot of moving parts when you do a kettle sour. So I found a company called Lallemand. It's a yeast company, and they've created, it's like these yeast nerds who's created like this yeast. They genetically modify the yeast to create its own lactic acid and sour it in the fermenter, and you don't have to run the risk of using like a sour yeast where you can infect your brewery or whatever.
Yeah.
So the yeast that we use is this sour yeast yeast, and that's, to me, I always tell a story, and like when people that aren't beer people, I tell them, they're like, yeah, fuck off, just give me the fucking beer. Like, you're a nerd, shut up. Like, but I love it. It excites me that somebody took this yeast and they genetically modified it to sour it, and that's what I used. And it was kind of like a throw dart. And the first one I did a goza, guava goza.
Yeah.
So it's sort of like a breakfast beer. So first thing in the morning when you're having brunch or whatever, it's good with eggs and bacon and pancakes and or whatever. And so that's the first one I did, and the yeast worked great. And then we did another one. So the first one come around is the guava goza. We put out like about a month ago.
That one's really good. I like that one.
You like it? But unlike Zara's beer, I used about half the amount of fruit in this, so not as fruited. It's got a little more sour than I would like it to for a goza, but I think it tastes good.
So for this one, did you, was it like a fruit puree or like?
Yeah,
it was a fruit.
Yeah,
puree.
we used a fruit puree in the fermenter from a company called Fierce Fruit.
Cool.
And it was like we put it, we kind of like pumped it into like the fermenter.
Okay.
So I wanted to use the fruit in the fermenter so it could ferment out and didn't risk any like canned bombs or any re-fermentation.
Yeah.
Which is how we did with her fruit. When we put the cherry in her goza, we pumped it into the fermenter and let it ferment on the fruit.
Okay, because I was at Cyprus and somebody had come in with cans that had burst because they got warm, and it was pretty crazy. Oh, but I mean, like, it happens, but like, however they make the beer, as long as it tastes good, I'm fine.
I mean, with like a lot of these fermented beers, if they aren't fully done fermenting,
they'll ferment in the can.
And then you put it, you crash it or whatever, you put it in the can and then it warms up.
Oh, this is so good.
So this recipe is from me. Most of you know that like the last time I did this RCBC, I was just a regular grunt brewer over at Flagship. And about a month after I stopped, they gave me the position of head brewer.
Wow.
And so I've been head brewer for almost a year and a half now. Thank you. And so this recipe is actually an old homebrew recipe I learned. It's just a little bit of Pilsner malt, a little bit of wheat malt, and a little bit of stipulated. And then some salt, some coriander. Very traditional goza base. Salt? Sorry? More salt. You wanted it, motherfucker. You wanted it. And
let's just hope nobody gets assaulted.
So a kind of like a cool thing, like, so the two beers I brought tonight was the sours. each one is the same grain. The grain base is the same. Everything is the same except for the fruit. So I changed the fruit from the guava to raspberry. The grain bill is the same. The hops are the same. Everything is the same. It's just the fruit is different. Which is like something very interesting that I found professionally brewing is that like you can do like a lot of the beers that we drink. The grain bills are going to be very, very similar. But the things that you can change are like the hops, the yeast, and very minuscule amounts, and you'll get like totally different beers. Which is an example of what we're going to drink tonight between the two, the guava goza and the raspberry.
I'm getting a lot of blood orange in here.
Because he's drinking a blood orange.
I gotta stay away from the salt. Body out.
Yeah, he's taking blood pressure medicine. I can't give him the salt.
Virgin salt low though.
It is, yeah. You can have that.
They're much calmer in the movies.
You don't like it?
Side effects are a lot more complicated.
So anyway, so the guava goza, I hope you guys like it. It's very traditional base. The guava gives it a little breakfast feel, brunch feel. Is this too salty? Oh. I love the style. The goza style is like, if you look at like historically, it's the salt is to like emulate the water profile of Germany. It's a very German style.
Liechtenstein.
Yeah. You like gozas, right?
Yes.
You're the goza guy.
Yeah, they're from Liechtenstein.
There's a wonderful video on YouTube of Pat Morris doing a brewery tour, probably very long ago, and you were on that tour, and you asked him, so when are you gonna make a goza?
Yes.
And then Pat goes, probably never.
Yes, I filmed that tour, and I was like, hey, you ever gonna make a goza? And Pat was like, never, I hate them.
Yeah.
They made it.
We made one.
Pat's in Maine.
Yeah, he's doing good. I've seen him on Instagram.
He's doing wonderful. And Lone Pine.
By way of Matt.
This one?
Yeah, it's mellowed out.
It's tart. Raspberry though is sour.
What do you think? You think they're raspberry?
Yeah, that was, he says, oh yeah, somebody filmed the tour and you were on that tour. It's like you asked him, yeah, it's like, yeah, I filmed that tour. That was me. He said, and I was like, you asked him, would you ever make a goza? And I did ask him. And he's like, never. And that was me. And I filmed that tour. That's so old. I'd have to find it. I'll definitely take the IPA one. Oh, the Blue Perch? Yeah. Yeah, that was the first one. I'll definitely take that one. I want them all. They were very good.
It'll just be a picture. The land will be a picture of Don Texas.
Honestly, I've been wanting to like do like a homebrew. I literally boiled a bunch of hot dogs. I didn't use the hot dog water. It's more American than that.
I found it. I found the video. It was 2016.
Okay, so it was like 2 years after he opened.
Yeah.
2016. So what do you guys think of the goes? Yes, no? Right? We'll do the raspberry. So, before they come around, the raspberry sour. So the next beer coming around, there was a few months ago we at the brewery had a battle of the bands.
Yeah.
Some of you were there.
KY Mom.
And The band that won was a band called King Like Mom. It's an all-girl band from Staten Island. Two of the girls were in a band called Pussy Wolf. You might remember them. They were fantastic. But King Like Mom, they are fantastic. They're great. If you ever get a chance, they play all the time. So they want to keep the Battle of the Bands, and then we did a beer with them. So there was a slew of emails of back and forth of kind of what they wanted, what we wanted, and we came to this kind of conclusion of we're going to do another sour.
Yeah.
And raspberry would be like kind of like the main star, and then they want to do like rose hips and orange peel.
Ooh.
Yeah, so you can charge an
Doug
extra.
was so happy about that.
The first thing I was like, what the fuck is rose hips? I don't know, how do I use that? I was like, let me pause on that, let me see what it is, and then like, then I got back, I'm like, yeah, we can use that. Rose hips are like, I guess they're like from the rose bushes, and they're kind of tart.
You like the hip?
Yeah, hips. They're like the Shakira of roses. Hips don't lie, right?
They don't lie. Dad jokes go long.
Rose hips don't lie. So anyway, so we made this beer. Same grain bill as the Goza, same hops as the Goza, same salt profile, same yeast. Only different is the fruit.
It's really tart.
It's tart, right? It's way more tart than
This is very tart.
it's more sour. It's a sour. Which is my kind of like my point, like in brewing. If anybody's ever had any interest in home brewing, we have a homebrew club called Puree Standards. It meets every second Wednesday. We're going back to, currently they meet every second Wednesday of the month. But what I love about brewing, what I love about home brewing, is like something as simple as like having the same grain bill and just changing like a small part of it. You can get a totally different beer. I think that's pretty cool.
It's funny, like the same base recipe.
I have a question. Do you have like I heard that the Alamo Draft House is reopening soon.
Yes, they are. In a couple weeks, they are opening soon.
They said 3 weeks. They were there 2 days. 3 weeks.
That's awesome. I'm so happy to hear that.
So we have a beer that we made for them called the Flying Guillotine.
Cool.
It's an easy IPA. Keep a lookout for it. That'll be open in 3 weeks.
The Alamo Draft House, a new movie theater, is going to be opening in about 3 weeks. And they have an hazy IPA made specifically for them.
Yeah.
Flying Guillotine, can't wait to try it.
It's delicious. We canned it yesterday.
I'm just really happy that the place is finally opening, because like so many businesses were supposed to open in the Highland Plaza area, then COVID happened, and like so many of the businesses there are like still up in the air on when they're ever going to open.
What do you think of the raspberry sour? Sweet tart, right? A sweet tart.
Shit.
It's
That's it. Anybody got any questions? So yeah, Flagship has a little baby coming out. Whenever we decide to put it out for you guys to buy. It's our little hazy IPA. That's coming out. We have Hawk City. You can randomly get it around Staten Island, but mainly at the
Staten Island Ferry Hawks.
yeah, mainly at the what's the stadium? Ballpark. Yeah. Tickets are free. You can go there, just walk in.
Really now?
No, that's not true. That's not true at all. Don't do that. No. They need some help. So if you, yeah, Hawk City Pale Ale. So if you do see that out, it is our. If you've ever been around since the beginning of the brewery, it is our original APA recipe. But I kind of cut down the base malt to lower the ABV, and I rearranged the hops a little bit. So it's a bit of a tweak of our APA. It's nice. It's not a cool guy beer at all. It's an old guy beer. It's my kind of beer. And then I think Hillsborough has a new Ferry Hawk beer tonight. It's for $75 a pint. 2 pints, so get you lunch in the face. What else? You got anything coming up? Well, Mike's gonna talk. That's all I got. I mean, we got some beers coming out, that's it. I'm thinking about making a rice lager work. What do you guys want to see? What do you guys want from Flagship?
What do you want from me?
What do you want from me? I'm doing my best.
What do you want from me?
A mead.
We don't have a license for it.
Ah.
I did make a mead for Brew for Autism. If you came to that, thanks for coming. It's cool.
Pity. No.
But I did make one for that. Rice lager, right? It's good. That's what I think. So I'm pushing for that. So that might be out soon.
How about a double bop?
Doppelbock?
Yeah.
Do you think Staten Island can handle German styles?
Yeah.
Doppelbock, Chris. Here's our sales guy, Chris. Chris, how easy is it to sell a Doppelbock? He doesn't look very confident that he can sell a Doppelbock. Rice lager. Rice lager. Good, yeah. What'd you say? Passion fruit? Actually, I am gonna make one more sour this summer. I was thinking a cherry lime sour. Would you think it's passion fruit? Passion fruit? Yeah. What do you guys think for fruit this summer? Passion fruit? Not cherry lime? I'm feeling the cherry lime, no? No? All right. Cherry lime? You got a cherry lime? Passion fruit? Passion fruit? Passion fruit? Now you're getting crazy. What are we, Brooklyn? Passion fruit and peach. Yeah? Chris? I think cherry lime does. You ruined my drink. Passion fruit and peach. Can you sell that? Okay, then there you go. Passion fruit and peach sour. Baby coming out.
No, put another, I don't know, put something else in there. And
Something else?
No, make it peach.
Marshmallow. You guys want marshmallow in there? Some fire, some logs? You want me to throw a KFC log in the mesh? So, Jay, I was just asking what they want for fruit and sours. No one likes, no one. Cherry lime got next. They want passion fruit peach.
Passion fruit peach?
Yeah.
Give the people what they want.
Chris said he can sell. Pre-sold. They're pre-sold.
We're out already.
Sorry, they're out. They're already out. They're already sold out. All right, passion fruit peach. Yes. People look out for that. S'mores? A s'more stout for the fall. I can do that. What? Put some flannels in that. Boom, right in. Yeah.
Dunk old box flannels right in the mash.
Yeah. That's where all that salt goes. Sweat.
I can't have it. Jay, you can't have it.
All right. I like that idea. Passion fruit peach. Sour. That's all I got. Thanks, guys. Thank you for coming. Thank you, Zara. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it all. Bye.
Thank you very much to Doug and the team and Zara and Flagship and Back Home Beer and to all of you for coming out to the hot shop again. You know what your job is now, to go out and ask for these beers in other restaurants and bars. Say, where's Back Home Beer? How come you don't have Back Home Beer? And they'll have to get it, right? Say, I demand the cherry sumac goes right now. And Flagship, Doug, thanks for coming down again. Nice to see you here. Sitting up in front of the room. Doug Williams went from standing here to head brewer of Flagship. So I guess, you know.
It's something, right?
You did something. it's upward. It's upward, I guess.
Yes, yeah.
Next month we have Evergreen Brewery from Pennsylvania. I think they're from Camp Hill, Pennsylvania. They have some really awesome lagers. Camp Hills being one of them. Inner Lotus, another. They're really cool brewery. Really doing a lot of not like funky stuff, but like doing classic style very well. And that's always really interesting to me, because everyone can like cover up things with all kinds of fruit and overly hopped and double, triple hopped everything. But to do something that's really clear and tastes good is difficult. And that's what they're doing over at Evergreen. So really interested to have them next month. So that'll be the last Thursday of July? About to be July already. Holy crap. Wow. But 29th? 28th, July 28th, thank you for the assist. July 28th will be Evergreen. Thank you all until then, and cheers. Peace.